Oh, to be! That is the question. If you've ever frozen mid-sentence in Spanish trying to decide which version of to be to use, you're not alone. Most explanations make this harder than it is. They give us acronyms, charts, and rules that seem helpful at first, but quickly fall apart in real conversations. In this video, though, I'm gonna give you the ultimate rule of thumb for Ser and Estar. It's one simple distinction that explains what Spanish is actually doing, so you never have to guess again. Before we get to all that, though, I remember when I first started learning Spanish, I had no clue what to be even was, so let's break it down. To be is by far the most common verb in all of English. It's used roughly twice as often as the next most common verb. We use it constantly without even thinking about it. For example, I am a plumber. He is a plumber. They are plumbers. I was a plumber. They were plumbers. In these sentences, am, is, are, was, and were are all just different forms of the same verb, to be. Now that we're clear on that, I repeat. In Spanish, there are two different verbs that both translate as to be, ser and estar. Spanish takes our one English idea and splits it into two, which means every time we want to say any form of to be, we have to choose between ser and estar. It's a pain in the tushy. In one of my first videos many years ago, I gave a simple rule of thumb. Use ser for permanent things, use estar for temporary things. It's not what's really happening, but in the beginning, that's what first helped me see how there could be two different types of to be. The wordy textbook explanations just weren't doing it for me. If I'm holding an empty glass, I can say, this is a glass. That's permanent. This is a glass forever. It'll always be a glass. Well, for permanent things, Spanish uses ser. So this would be, este es un vaso. Es is a form of ser. If you're not familiar with the conjugations of ser and estar, check out my video on that. Now, holding that same glass, I can also say, this glass is empty. That's temporary. It's not empty forever. It can be filled at any moment. And for temporary things, Spanish uses estar. So this would be, este vaso está vacío. Está is a form of estar. Years later, I still think the permanent versus temporary rule of thumb is the best way to help beginners see how one English to be can turn into two different verbs in Spanish. But that's also where its usefulness ends. Once you step into real Spanish, that simple rule of thumb quickly falls apart because it doesn't get to the heart of what's actually going on. So here's a better way to think about it. This new ultimate rule of thumb is almost as simple, but it covers most situations. The ultimate rule of thumb is default to ser, then use estar for conditions. I say default to ser because ser is way more common than estar. So that's the simple version of the rule. Default to ser, use estar for conditions. Once you see what's going on, that's all you have to remember. The fuller version is use ser for descriptions, use estar for conditions. Now, technically, conditions are a type of description, so from now on, when I say descriptions, I mean descriptions that aren't conditions. Use ser for descriptions that aren't conditions, use estar for conditions. So instead of asking, is this permanent or temporary, it's better to ask, is this talking about what something is, its identity? If so, that's a description, use ser. Or is this talking about how something is in a certain moment? If so, that's a condition, use estar. Let's go back to our glass example. This is a glass. Yes, that's permanent, but it's also a description of what the thing in my hand is. It's a glass. That's why ser is used. Este es un vaso. But then the glass is empty. Yes, that's temporary, but it's also a condition of the glass. It's how the glass is right now. That's why estar is used. Este vaso está vacío. And this all lines up perfectly with the acronyms teachers often use. For ser, there's doctor, descriptions, occupations, characteristics, time, origin, and relationships. But these are all just specific types of descriptions. So instead of memorizing 6 separate categories, we can just remember one. For descriptions, use ser. An example, the door is big. La puerta es grande. This is a description, the D in doctor, of the door. This is talking about the door's identity. That's why ser is used. But being big is also a characteristic, the C in doctor. A characteristic is a type of description. So we don't have to memorize both. Just remembering ser for descriptions is enough. Another one, I am a teacher. Soy profesor. This describes who I am, my identity. That's why ser is used. But being a teacher is also an occupation, the first O in doctor. An occupation is just another kind of description, so you don't need to remember both. Just remembering descriptions is enough. Now let's look at the T in doctor. Time. It is 3:30. Son las 3:30. Or it is Monday, es lunes. Even though the time will change, we're describing what the time is at that moment. That moment will always have been 3:30. That day will always have been Monday. So time is treated as a description, use ser. Now origin, the second O in doctor. We are from Mexico. Somos de Mexico. And relationships, the R in doctor. He is my brother. Él es mi hermano. Both use ser because they describe who someone is. Where someone is from and how someone is related to someone else are both descriptions of identity. So yes, at first the acronym doctor can be helpful, but soon it's easier to drop the acronym and just remember use ser for descriptions. Now let's flip to estar. The acronym here is place, position, location, actions, conditions, and emotions. But once again, all 5 of these are just conditions. So instead of memorizing 5 separate things, we can just remember one. For conditions, use estar. An example, the book is on the table. El libro está en la mesa. That's a condition, the C in place. The book is there now, but it can be moved at any time. That's why estar is used. But this also tells us the book's position, the P in place, and its location, the L in place. The book is positioned on the table. The book is located on the table. Something's position and location are clearly conditions, so remembering estar for conditions is enough. Another one, I am eating with friends. Estoy comiendo con amigos. That's a condition too. I'm eating right now with these people at this moment. That's why estar is used. This is also an action, the A in place, specifically a progressive tense, I am eating. In Spanish, the progressive tenses use estar. Estoy comiendo. Actions in the progressive tenses are conditions, so again, remembering estar for conditions covers it. The last letter in place is the trickiest, E for emotions. We're told to use estar for emotions, and most of the time that's right. But emotions can go both ways. If the emotion is a condition, use estar. If the emotion is a description, use ser. For example, es feliz, he is happy. The use of ser tells us this is a description, so this means he is a happy person in general. Being a happy person in general is a description. But then está feliz. He is happy. Now the use of estar tells us this is a condition. So this means he is happy right now. Something happened causing him to be happy. Being happy right now is a condition. One thing that really trips people up is death. She is dead. Ella está muerta. Feels permanent, right? But in Spanish, death is treated as a condition. She wasn't always dead. That's why estar is used. How simple is this? No acronyms, no long lists, just 2 ideas. Use ser for descriptions, what something is, its identity. Use estar for conditions, how something is or was. And really, you can just default to ser because it's way more common than use estar for conditions. Now, as you've already seen, both verbs are often correct, they just tell a different story. A classic example of this, la manzana es verde. The apple is green. The use of ser tells us this is a description of the apple's identity. It's not a red apple or a yellow apple. It's one of those green Granny Smith apples. This is a description of the apple's identity, so ser is used. But then, la manzana está verde. The apple is green. Now, the use of estar tells us this is a condition of the apple. Like it's green right now because it's not ripe yet. Eventually, it might be a red apple or a yellow apple. This tells us how the apple is right now, so estar is used. Something similar happens with listo. Listo can mean smart, a description, or ready, a condition. For example, Kimmy es lista. The use of ser tells us this is a description of who Kimmy is, her identity. So this means Kimmy is smart, because being smart is a description. But then Kimmy está lista. Now the use of estar tells us this is Kimmy's current condition. So this means Kimmy is ready, because being ready is a condition. Here's a tricky one. Aburrido can mean boring, a description, or bored, a condition. Jimmy es aburrido. The use of ser tells us this is a description of who Jimmy is, his identity. So this means Jimmy is boring, because being boring is a description. But then Jimmy está aburrido. Now the use of estar tells us this is Jimmy's current condition. So this means Jimmy is bored, because being bored is a condition. Location can get tricky too. As we've already talked about, Spanish uses estar for location. Jimmy is in Spain. Jimmy está en España. Or the car is in the garage. El auto está en el garaje. Jimmy won't always be in Spain. The car won't always be in the garage. These are clearly conditions, so estar is used. But location feels less intuitive with things that don't move. Madrid is in Spain. Madrid está en España. Or the bathroom is on the left. El baño está a la izquierda. Madrid will always be in Spain. The bathroom will always always be on the left. These feel like descriptions, not conditions, and yet estar is still used, not ser. Why? I don't know. I don't make the rules. Just remember, Spanish uses estar for all locations, even for things that never move. Well, except one, events. For the location of events, ser is used. For example, the concert is in the park. El concierto es en el parque. Or the party is at my house. La fiesta es en mi casa. These are clearly locations, so why ser? The difference is events aren't physical objects like people, cars, or buildings are. And in Spanish, the location of an event is treated as part of the event's identity, not as a condition, so ser is used. Bottom line, use estar for location, even for immovable things, but for the location of events, use ser. Of course, you will run into a few other edge cases. This is Spanish, there are always exceptions, but what I just showed you covers about 95% of what you'll see in real life. Use ser for descriptions, use estar for conditions. Just knowing this isn't enough though. When you're listening to Spanish or trying to speak it, everything moves too fast to stop and think about the rules. The next step is seeing ser and estar used over and over in real life until your brain stops translating and it becomes automatic. To start that process, go to SpanishDude.com/ser-estar, the link is below, and download the free practice worksheet. It's based on real Spanish from a podcast transcript and gives you plenty of chances to choose between ser and estar. You make your choice, then check your answers along with my explanations. 15 to 20 minutes is enough to start locking this in so you don't have to think about it anymore. If this video helped you, hit the like button. If it didn't, don't. The more I know it helps you, the more I can make videos that help you. Until the next time, hasta luego.